Good morning, all of you. Today, we are going to start a new topic, and the most important one, that is simple, complex, and compound sentences. Now, over the years, the problem that the students find with simple, complex, compound is because of the terms that they don't understand. And the other important thing is that unless you know to identify these terms, you will never be able to transform a simple sentence into a compound or a complex sentence, and vice versa. As we know that, say, if you are asked to change a simple sentence into a complex sentence, then the first thing that you should know is that what does a simple sentence consist of, what a compound sentence consists of, and what a complex sentence consists of. Now, the basic rule is that to understand and to identify the sentences, identifying the given sentence as a simple, complex, or compound is very important. Unless you identify that, it is going to be very difficult for you to transform it. So, the first thing that you need to do is to identify the given sentence. Now, there is a very simple rule to identify a sentence or say classify it into simple, complex, or compound. In a simple sentence, there are two verbs. Extremely sorry. In a simple sentence, there is one verb. In a compound sentence or complex sentence, there are at least two verbs. Now, if there are two verbs, it can either be a complex sentence or a compound sentence. When will it be a complex sentence and when will it be a compound sentence? In simple sentence, there is one verb. If there are two verbs, then it can be complex sentence or compound sentence. And the very simple rule that decides whether it is complex sentence or a compound sentence is if the two verbs are joined by a conjunction, then the type of conjunction decides whether it is complex or compound. If a subordinate conjunction is used, it is a complex sentence. If a coordinate conjunction is used to join the two sentences, two simple sentences, then it is a compound sentence. Now, here, the first thing that you need to identify is the verb. How many verbs are given in the sentence? If one verb is there, it is simple. If two verbs are there, it can be complex or compound. If two verbs are joined using a subordinate conjunction, it is a complex sentence. If two verbs are joined using a coordinate conjunction, it is a compound sentence. Now, what is the change between these simple sentences? Because when we change a simple sentence into complex or compound, the sense of the sentence should not change. Now, if complex sentence or compound sentence has two verbs, in that case, in simple sentence also, apart from that one verb that is given, there should be something that can be transformed into a complex sentence to make it, or say that there should be something that can be converted into a verb to make it a complex sentence or compound sentence. So, what is given in a simple sentence instead of the second verb that is given in the complex or compound sentence? These are the questions that will be answered when you understand the given terms. So, let us go ahead now. The simple sentence structure is subject, verb, and object. And I am sure you all know what a subject is. Subject can be name of any person, or it can be first person, second person, third person. I and we are first person singular and first person plural. You is second person singular or plural. They is third person. The person about whom we are talking is called the third person, and they is third person plural, and he, she, it are third person singular. Now let us talk about what a verb is. The verbs, as far as simple complex compound is into account, we can divide the verbs into two types: to be verbs and action verbs. To be verbs are am, is, are, was, were, shall, will, be. They do not show any action, they just show the state of the subject. I am at home, I was in school, I shall be in a movie. Now here am, is, are, was, were, shall, will, be, they show the state, what I, where I am. They do not show any action. Whereas action verbs are in 12 tenses. For example, say I write novels, there is simple present tense. I wrote novels, simple past tense. I shall write novels, simple future tense. I am writing a novel is present continuous. I was writing a novel, past continuous. I shall be writing a novel is future continuous. I have written a novel is past. I have written a novel is present perfect. I had written a novel is past perfect. I shall have written a novel is future perfect. I shall have, I have been writing a novel is present perfect continuous. I had been writing a novel is past perfect continuous. And I shall have been writing a novel is future perfect continuous. Now these are the 12 tenses in which a verb can be written. Now verb can never be written without any tense. So either it should be a to be verb or it should be an action verb in any of the 12 tenses or the passive of any of these tenses. Now from the 12 tenses, 8 tenses have passive, all the tenses do not have passive, perfect continuous tenses do not have passive, and say future continuous tense does not have passive. Now, as we have talked earlier, so in a compound sentence or a complex sentence, there will be two verbs. The two verbs may be either a to be verb or an action verb. And a simple sentence will have one verb plus, say, something that can be called non verbs. This is a term that I have coined for better understanding. The words that appear like verbs but are not verbs, because they are not in any tenses. Now, if you write a present participle, ing form of the verb, then that is not a verb. That is a common mistake that the students make. Then the boy is sitting on the last tree, intelligent. There, say sitting is not a verb because it is present participle. If it has to be a verb, it should be in any of the tenses. The boy who is sitting on the last bench, then is sitting is a verb, but only sitting is not a verb. Likewise, past participle is also not a verb. For example, say written is not a verb. The poetries written by Jawaharlal Nehru were great. So, the poetries were great is the main clause. Written by Jawaharlal Nehru, the written only past participle is given, that is not the poetries that were written by, then were written is a verb because it's the passive of the past tense. But only written is not a verb. Likewise, say perfect participle is also not a verb. Having completed my work, I went home. There, went is the only verb. Having completed is perfect participle and it is not a verb. Then say infinitive is also not a verb. To plus root form of the verb is not a verb. So these are non-verbs. Now these non-verbs are given in simple sentence, which has to be they have to be converted to action verb or to be verb to make it a compound sentence or a complex sentence. Now let us check as to what is used in a simple sentence and in a simple sentence we use in spite of, despite, on account of, owing to, because of, due to, TWO2 and TO2, on plus ing, in order to, with a view to, and etc. Words, these are phrase prepositions and the like, are used in a simple sentence. In place of a phrase preposition, if you use a subordinate conjunction, because, since, as, though, although, even though, even if, however, who, whom, whose, which, that, what, when, where, if, unless, so, that, then it becomes a complex sentence. In place of say subordinate conjunctions or say phrase preposition if you use a coordinate conjunction and but yet still and so therefore either or neither nor or otherwise not only but also both and then it becomes a compound sentence. Now before we go deeper into the say functioning of this simple complex compound and transformation, I would like all of you to go through this at least 5 times, memorize all these things, listen to this video at least 3-4 times, and then we will proceed with the theory of simple complex compound in the next session. Thank you.